Over the years, the issue of the death penalty has often been debated in the UK. Since our last execution in 1964, America has killed more than 1,600 people. I'm trying to understand why it's so ingrained in the culture here. I'm speaking to a man who's been sentenced to death. Charles Thompson, a double murderer, has been on death row for 26 years.
The reason why we're sat like this and there's this glass between us and we're speaking on the phone is because you were convicted of a double murder in 1998.
Yes.
What do you think of those who will watch you and say, I've got no sympathy with you complaining about what you're going through?
That's their prerogative, but
because you deserve to be in here for what you've done.
Well, a lot of people differ on that opinion. It was a crime of passion. There's two men fighting over a woman.
It was in Houston in 1998 that Charles Thompson shot his ex-girlfriend, Denise Hayslip, and her boyfriend, Darren Kane.
It's the worst day of my life. I regret it. I wish I could take it back. When this case happened 27 years ago, I was 27, almost 28. I was an alcoholic. I was strung out on cocaine, using hard drugs. I was still very immature for 27. I had a lot of anger issues. And I was wild. I was out of control.
Going back to that first day, what was your expectation of what it would be like and what hit you?
Yeah, you have that stigma from Hollywood, from TV, the movies, you know. You're going to get a prison shank in the back, you know, for saying the wrong thing. All these things come into play because your mind is racing. You're looking at everything like, wow, this is nothing like I thought it would be. Everybody tries to help everybody. And like a good example is like when a new guy shows up, everybody chips in. They give him some shower slides, some stamps, envelopes, paper, pen, so he can write his family.
After 6 years of appeals and legal wrangling, a desperate Charles took matters into his own hands and became headline news.
A dragnet over Houston as police search for a convicted killer, a death row inmate who, they say, simply walked out of jail in Houston. How?
Might as well give it a shot at freedom. So I threw caution to the wind. I ran out to jail, did a quick change into some gym clothes, and got on the bike path like a jogger. And then here comes a freight train. It's like, there's my ride. Took me 3 days to get 250 miles on a freight train. There's plenty of stops, sleeping in train yards.
Thompson smuggled street clothes that he wore for a court appearance back to his jail cell, and then found a way to change in a booth like this one, a booth used for meetings between attorneys and inmates.
Charles was recaptured outside a liquor store in Louisiana. He was found drunk and talking on a payphone.
They came running up and grabbed me, slammed me on the ground. I had a knee in my neck, foot in my back, barrels pressed up against my body. And I'll start jumping around, high-fiving each other. We got him, we got him. I was sick. I was sicker than I was the first time I got the death sentence, knowing that I was coming back to this place.
Did you think you'd ever be on death row for such a long time?
No, I mean, it's not my idea how to spend the next 30 years, that's for sure. But I mean, it is what it is. I can't necessarily just, open the gates and walk out.
No. You tried it once.
Yeah, I'm working on trying to do things a legal way now.
Without wanting to sound too morbid, do you think about your death?
Oh, it's the most unnatural thing to know that you're fixing to die and watch the clock tick down your life. It's not natural. You're not supposed to know your time. The execution nightmare, the execution dream is probably the worst thing. You wake up in a cold sweat and you're like, that was just too real. I have watched friends be executed, close friends, and I've heard guys crying in the night.
The murder of Denise Hayslip saw her leave behind her only child, Wade. He was 13 when she was killed.
What would be the one thing you would say to Denise Hayslip, who you murdered?
And I hope that she could forgive me for what happened, and that we'll see her again. I'd like to believe that, I have a chance at going to heaven too. I feel for the families. I feel for her son. I asked him to forgive me, and he said he thinks the jury got the sentence right, and he's waiting for it to be carried out. So I had no choice but to accept that, and some people can never move past it. And that's all I wanted for him, was to be able to move past this. The biggest false thing that the criminal justice system sells to people is that the death penalty will bring closure. It doesn't.
Your time is up. Okay. Our time is done. Thank you, Charles. He's gone. Back to solitary. That wasn't what I expected it to be.
It's hard not to feel conflicted after meeting Charles. There's part of me that warmed to him. Is he truly sorry for his crime? It's also hard not to wonder if I was being manipulated by him. I can't help thinking about Denise's son, Wade. I've managed to find him, to hear his side of the story.
Hey.
Hi,
Hey.
Wade. Dan, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember being pulled out of class by my vice principal and pulling into our youth counselor's office and kind of them explaining exactly what had happened. And I remember going to the hospital and waiting that night and ultimately seeing her on her bed, and so that was a different experience. And then throw in everything else that happens afterwards, the unique nature of losing somebody but then having a trial. And the thing was, on the stand when I testified, the weapon sat on the stand because the previous individual that had testified before me was actually the weapons expert. So they left the gun
Right there.
Right there, I could have grabbed it.
That's a lot for a 14-year-old to go through.
It was unique, yeah. There's been a lot to unpack over the last 26 years.
Speaking to Charles Thompson, he described the incident where your mum was murdered as a scuffle.
Well, the evidence suggests that he kicked in the door that morning, and there were a total of, I believe, 7 shots fired. So much so that he had to reload, and then the gun jammed and could not be fired again. The one shot was put to her cheek and then blasted to the other side of her jawbone. He said that he knew that she had been hit because he could see her teeth flying out of her mouth. So that's point blank range.
Do you think he understands the gravity of what he did and what he took away from you and others?
I don't know. I don't get the impression that he did or does. The thing that he's robbed most has been mom's not there for any of it. He robbed her, he robbed me, he robbed countless friends and family of their experiences and Christmases and weddings and graduations and grandkids. So, can't get that back. There was a time in my life where I had a recurring dream, and he actually shot me in that dream.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wade and I head to Huntsville. It's there that one day he might well come to see Charles Thompson be executed. How does Wade feel about the prospect of seeing him die?
Do you think his execution would ever give you closure? Is that the wrong word?
Definitely the wrong word. It won't end.
When Charles Thompson is in that room and you're watching him, do you need him to say that I'm sorry for what I've done to you and to your mum and to your family?
I don't necessarily need anything from him. It would be nice if in that moment he would say, I did it, I messed up.
I'm sorry.
It's clear Wade is not out for retribution, but it does still seem like he wants the death sentence to be carried out. For now, he remains in limbo, waiting for the day he might return here. Charles Thompson might have exhausted his appeals, but there's no execution date in sight. But other cases have a clearer schedule. Huntsville is due to hold its next execution in a matter of weeks. I'm on my way to meet a man who, on that day, will be in the death chamber.
They're going to put on the monument, "Thou shalt not kill," as they continue to kill.